Hi there, Clark Reid back with you with today's Tech Headlines. If you like these reports, you could help us out by crushing that like button, and you can also, of course, subscribe so you know each new report is up and ready for you. And here's a programming note. There may be only one or two of these reports next week, with it being Christmas week. A lot of the tech world will be closed down, and we will keep an eye out, and we'll report on any big things that do happen. As if there wasn't enough of a problem with artificial intelligence hallucinations, or in plain language, lying, we now find that Google has been making Gemini contractors to rate AI responses outside of their areas of expertise. A lot of you may not know, but there's really an army of people behind AI correcting things and so forth. It isn't really totally machine operated at this point. Now, TechGrunch.com reports that the people behind these proverbial curtains, sometimes called prompt engineers and analysts, have been pushed to evaluate AI responses outside of their area. Google's been using some contractors for Global Logic, an outsourcing firm that's owned by Hitachi. Until recently, they were able to skip certain prompts and opt out of evaluating various AI written responses to those prompts if the prompt was way outside of their domain of expertise. For example, a contractor could skip a prompt if it was asked a niche question about cardiology, because the contractor had no scientific background. Well, as of last week, they won't be allowed to skip prompts, even if they have no clue about the area they're being queried about. Contractors can now only skip prompts in two cases: if they're completely missing information, like the full prompt or response, or if they contain harmful content that requires special consent forms to evaluate, the new guidelines show. And so far, Google has not commented about all of this. Well, it's not a total reprieve, but now TikTok will get its day in court in the Supreme Court to argue why it should not be banned in the U.S. According to Gizmodo.com, the Supremes will hear arguments on January 10th, only 9 days before the ban on TikTok is set to go into place. Most court watchers expect the Supreme Court to make a decision before January 19th's ban date. ByteDance has already lost in the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, where the court said the First Amendment exists to protect free speech in the U.S., and the ban represents the government acting solely to protect freedom from foreign adversary nations and limiting that adversary's ability to gather data on people in the United States. Apple has now dropped plans to offer a hardware subscription service for iPhones. MacRumors.com said Cupertino had considered a service that would let users subscribe to get a new iPhone every year, something that they had in the works since 2022. But now it appears that Apple has decided such a plan isn't feasible due to regulatory concerns, software bugs, and other issues. Now, you can still buy an iPhone from them for 12 or 24 months worth of payments at zero interest, which really isn't a whole lot different from the subscription idea anyway. Although there have been sightings and issues elsewhere, New Jersey seems to be the hotbed of late for freakouts over drone activity. And now the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, has stepped in. Bloomberg.com reports that the FAA has prohibited drone flights over parts of the Garden State as public hysteria over sightings has continued. The FAA just published 22 temporary flight restrictions over critical infrastructure in the state. The agency said it was instituting the ban at the request of federal security partners. I'm Clark Reid, and you're Technified for now.